How's your work-life balance been lately? If those pesky daily tasks are always eating away at your time, that means you can't focus on what matters most. Balance is hard when the to-do lists never end. But what if you didn't have to do it all? At Belay, we know it can be difficult to trust the work to someone else. That's why Belay guarantees the right professional for your needs and your personality. Whether it's a virtual assistant to knock out that to-do list or an accounting professional to handle your finances, Belay's flexible staffing solutions has your right hire right now. Find the work-life balance you deserve through the power of delegation. To get started, download Belay's free resource, 5 Blind Spots That Sink Your Leadership. Just text the word Maxwell to 55123. This will get you your free copy. That's right, MAXWELL to 55123 to start delegating with Belay. Hey, welcome back to the Maxwell Leadership Podcast. Our podcast is committed to adding value to you so that you'll multiply value to others. Today, Chris Robinson is here. We're going to talk about how to make your future bigger than your past, and we're going to get to John in just a moment. But Chris, you set some of our new coaches on a path to becoming better in the future. You spent time with 25 of them in West Palm Beach.
Yeah, we typically have the opportunity to spend, time with thousands of people.
Right.
And, this past week, we had the opportunity to bring about 20 members from all around the U.S. that came into West Palm Beach, during these cold times is always pleasant.
Come to Florida.
Come to Florida. So we were down there and we spent a full day, as a small group walking through, what does it look like to find their ideal client? How do they price themselves as a coach? What does a proposal look like? Working on their communication skills in small groups. And so it was just really awesome, giving them time and space to really think about the future. And we talked about a lot of big concepts, but we also broke it down to what are those things that we can do day by day.
Wow.
Not try to get them to, the massive stages overnight, but hey, where can we go and speak and who can we help today versus, trying to do everything all at once. And so it was just a great time to spend that with them. And every single time I get a chance to be with members, man, it always fills my heart.
Well, and that's what we do. For those of you that don't know, we have 58,000 coaches in 169 countries. And so Chris was just talking about time he spent with 20 of them. We've said it before on this podcast, but if you'd love to know about how to make your future better by up-leveling your community, you need to join our community. We'll put it in the show notes on how to get more information about Maxwell Leadership Certified Team, and we'd love to have you, that is for sure. Today, John is going to talk in just a moment about how to make your future bigger than your past. And different times throughout the show today, I'll reference either a bonus, a video, finding out more information about joining our community. We'll put all that in the show notes, and that you can find that at maxwellpodcast.com/bigger future. You can also find a downloadable resource that you can follow along as John teaches today. We hope you'll take advantage of that. And you'll also find the link to watch Chris Robinson and I by video today. If you want to see what good-looking shirt he's got on, go there and we'll see you there. But until then, hey, grab a pen, grab some paper. John's going to tell you how you can ensure a better future than anything you've accomplished up to this point. Here is John.
Always make your future bigger than your past. That's a wonderful lifetime growth law. Always make your future bigger than your past. Let's read. A bigger future is essential for lifetime growth. The past is useful because it is rich with experiences that are worth thinking about in new ways, and all of these valuable experiences can become raw material for creating an even bigger future. Approach your past with this attitude, and you will have an insatiable desire to even better, more enjoyable experiences. Use your past to continually create a bigger future, and you will separate yourself from situations, relationships, and activities that can trap you there. So let me give you some thoughts about the future, just things that I embrace myself. Number one, the best thing about the future is that it comes only one day at a time. That's what I love about the future. You don't have to handle a month at a time or a year at a time. You handle it one day at a time. In fact, the question is, how do you prepare for the future? The answer is one day at a time. That comes out of my book, Today Matters. What? The secret of your success is determined by what? Your daily agenda. I think most people let the future really bog them down. And I think it bogs them down because of the heaviness of a lot of things. And in my simplistic approach to life, what I realize is if I can just handle today correctly, there's a high odds of tomorrow taking care of itself. People will ask me all the time, they'll say, John, how did you start writing? I mean, they'll say, I'd like to write a book. How did you start writing? And they hate my answer. Because my answer is, I started writing. I hate it when they ask these kind of questions. Because I would like to sound profound, but there's no profundity to it. How did I start writing? I started writing. Then I'll ask people, they'll say, you want to write a book? Yes. So I said, well, have you started writing? And their answer 90% of the time is, well, not yet. And I always tell them, let me help you here. If you haven't started writing yet, the odds are that what you haven't written won't be written. Now, then I hurry very quickly. I hurriedly go on and say to them, when I started writing, I want you to understand something. It wasn't any good. I have no illusions of my writing in the beginning. It was terrible. It was horrible. It took me a year to write my first book, and it was only 100 pages. But how do you start writing? You start writing. The future is handled one day at a time. And what you have to understand is that you just have to take the day you have, and the secret of your success or my success is always determined by our daily agenda. In fact, again, something that I think you've heard me say before, daily we are either repairing or preparing. If I could just pull anybody aside in life and talk to them for 5 minutes about life and success, I would again say, you handle the future one day at a time, and today you're either preparing or repairing. You're either setting yourself up for success tomorrow, or you are setting yourself up for colossal failure tomorrow. Tomorrow is the scorecard on how you handle today. That's all it is. It's a readout. It's a readout page about what has already happened yesterday. In other words, we get out there in that future and we think, boy, I wish I would have done that last week. I wish I'd done that last month. Boy, last year, why didn't I do that, huh? We've all done that. I've done that. You've done that. Don't fear failure so much that you refuse new things. The saddest summary of life contains 3 descriptions: could have, might have, should have. That's pure sadness, friend. Well, I could have done this. I might have been that. I should have gone there. We cannot rewrite the past, but we can write the future. A lot of times when I'm doing conferences and I'm working on this angle, I quote a little poem I learned, 25 years ago, I suppose. Though you could not go back and make a brand new start, my friend, anyone can start from now and make a brand new end. Every one of us have things we regret about our past. Every one of us wish we could go back and change something, but you can't change something. So basically what you've got to do is you've got to focus on, okay, since I can't rewrite the past, but I can write the present. I can fill in this page today, so let's start filling it in correctly. There are 2 ways to face the future. One is with apprehension, and the other is with anticipation. Sadly, a lot of people spend their time thinking of the future with apprehension. When you look at the future, do you look at it with anticipation? Do you look at it with apprehension? It does no good for any of us to look at yesterday and say, boy, I wish I could have done this different or better or changed this, or wow, I wish I had another shot at it. That's nothing but pure unacceptable wishful thinking, because that's never going to happen. But we can control now. We can control now. And what I have discovered is successful people understand that they're responsible for now, and unsuccessful people want to talk about yesterday. 5 steps to making your future bigger than your past. These are just personal steps I've used for many years. Number 1, review. That's very healthy to review. Number 2, reflect. After you look at what has happened, begin to think about it. Number 3, recover. This one always brings a little bit of amusement to me, because I've never looked at my past without recovery. I mean, I just never have. And if you look at your past and there's no recovery, you haven't looked at your past. But there's always recovery, isn't that true? I mean, there's always adjustment, recovery, then rearrange. Okay, now I begin to rearrange things so that I don't make the same mistakes, and then obviously recharge. When you're thinking of the future, look at the past to learn from it, but don't let the past control you today or tomorrow. Make it your teacher. Don't make it your master.
Hey, podcast listeners. Many of you listening right now would probably love the autonomy that comes with owning your own business or becoming a coach that helps other businesses succeed. Well, we have a phenomenal strategy where you are 100% in control of your own business, earning income on your own terms, and have access to the people, tools, and resources you need to build a thriving leadership development business. When you become a Maxwell Leadership Certified team member, you join a global community of entrepreneurs led by our expert team of mentors and faculty, including John C. Maxwell. You'll also get one of the top leadership certifications in the world next to your name, giving you the boost you need to get started. Visit us online at maxwellleadership.com/join the team to find out more.
Hey, I love this podcast and the timeliness of it. It's mid-November rather. If you're listening to this live, it's mid-November, and this is always my favorite time of the year. I'm wrapping up, especially here in November. Happy Thanksgiving early for those of you that are listening. I love the month of November. It's a gratitude month for me. But I began to start looking forward to my year-end review process, to where I take and I review the past year. And I intentionally ensure that my next year is going to be better, that it's going to be bigger, that it's going to be more impacting. And it is a discipline of mine. And so if you don't know that discipline, we'll be talking more about it as November, December comes along. But if you don't know about that, this lesson that John just taught us is all about taking 2025 and saying, wow, it was a good year. But it wasn't my best year, because 2026 is going to be my best year. So I'm super excited about this and the timeliness of this lesson.
Yeah, I love it. And I love this phrase. And in fact, Mark, now that I've got a new book out, I get to sign a bunch of books now. I love this. But when I have the time, I typically write this phrase in the book. I write the phrase, your best days are ahead.
Hear, hear.
And I mean, this is a statement that I love. This is a statement that I believe, no matter how bad things have been, no matter how good things have been, man, every fiber of my body is going, man, my best days are ahead.
Yes.
My best days are ahead. But why do you think so many people struggle to believe that their best days are ahead, especially when they've accomplished something?
Well, I think it really comes down to laziness. I think it comes down to over-fulfillment.
Okay.
You've lost your hunger, or I think it comes down with apprehension. You have fear. You have fear that there's something to lose now that you have a little bit. I love John encourages people, says, hey, when people can afford to quit, you can't afford to quit, right? And he says, in fact, if you're a quitter, quit on the first day. We won't miss you.
Right.
Don't wait until you've accomplished something and then say, I think I'll quit. Just quit early. Quit early.
Yeah.
But, and by the way, shameless plug for Chris's book, From Drift to Drive, because back to laziness, I think people just began to drift. They began to get lackadaisical in their thinking and in their pursuit. And then finally, I think it's fear. I think there is this apprehension. John talks about that in his lesson today. I think there's this fear that, oh my, what if it doesn't work? And again, when we don't have much to lose,
Right.
we tend to want to risk more.
Right.
But the more that we accumulate, the more success that we have, the more life experience that we have, the more we allow apprehension to come into place rather than anticipation. And so I think it's really those three things. I think it's a laziness. I think it's an apprehension. I think it's too much success. Too much success doesn't make you hungry anymore. You're not hungry for it. You don't want to go after it.
Right. Yeah. And I think about that too, when you talked about, that fear of failure and when you don't have anything that you'll risk it all. But I've found this and even so, I've got a friend that has, done very well, but then I've got another friend that hasn't done very well, but his risk tolerance is still very low
Yeah.
at a very low level.
Yeah.
And I'm going, and I had this conversation with them, a couple days ago going, man, like, hey, you should, the only difference between you and I is that, I've taken more risk and I've attempted failure more times than you have.
Yeah.
And I said, what is it that you have to lose right now? And, he's like, well, it's that fear. And so what do you think? So people struggle when they do
Yeah.
have something, and even
Yeah.
when they don't have
Yeah.
something, it's easy for us to say because we're risk takers.
Yeah.
We're a little bit of gamblers, and we know that we can fail and we'll be okay. But what do you say to that person that is losing in life right now, but still feels like they got something to lose?
Well, it's they've got a record. They've got a record they're trying to keep. I want to keep losing, right? And I say that, and truly, there's some people on our podcast right
Yeah,
now that you're
yeah.
listening to this, hoping that you're getting ready to get ready.
Ready.
I mean, you just can't wait to wait. You're so excited to finally get excited,
Yeah.
and so it's this understanding, Chris, that I do believe that it is a fear of failure. And yet John is challenging us. He's coming out with a book next in March, How to Get a Return on Failure. I think there's a mindset, Chris, that we need to really begin to embrace failure as a friend, embrace attempts as an expectation,
Mhm.
and embrace pursuit as a non-negotiable. I am going to pursue. I am going to fail. I am going to move. You do something, and I'm going to interrupt your question
Yeah.
right here. You teach something that I love. Every time you say it, I go, oh, so good. Learn a little, do a little. And
Yeah.
I'm going to let you teach on that a little bit, but let me tell you why I want you to do it right now.
Yeah.
Too many people want to become an expert before they become a practitioner.
Right.
It does not work that way, podcast family.
Yeah.
You become an expert after you practice, not before. And so this is why I love learn a little. The
Right.
little is important.
Right.
Don't learn too much.
Right.
Too much learning paralyzes you.
Yep.
Too much learning makes you assume things are going to go bad.
Right.
Too much learning makes you paralyzed to want to get more learning.
Right.
But if you'll learn a little
Yep.
and then do a little and then go back and learn a little and do this virtuous cycle,
Yeah.
then that is the ticket. Talk a little bit about learn a little.
Well,
do a
I mean,
little.
that's a phrase that man, I get that phrase repeated back to me all around the world, whether on this side of the planet or the other side of the planet. People come up to me and say, "Hey, learn a little, do a little."
Yep.
And that phrase really came as a result of me really just wanting to just stay on track, to just move forward. And I think about when I really began to do that was very early on with the Maxwell team.
Mhm.
I had given the Maxwell certified team all of my money, ALL. I mean, all. I just said, hey, here, this is all. I'm risking it all. And then I said I wasn't going to give you all of my money and then a little bit of my trust. And so I think what people do oftentimes is they'll take that risk, but then they're going to look for a reason for it not to work. And so I said, hey, I'm gonna dial in on this thing. And so what I would do, Mark, is I would go to the online platform, I would go and watch a video of instructions of what to do to become a speaker, to become a coach, to become a trainer, and then they would say, go and do this. I would pause it.
And go
I
do
would
it.
go and do it. And then I would come back.
Yes,
I would
yes.
come back and then see what they said do next. Like I literally had no idea what they were going to do next, but I know they said go do this. So I would go and do it. And then, but what that did was that gave me, when you learn a little and then you go and do a little, what happens is now I've got better questions to ask. I've got better understanding to ask because I've actually done something. If I sit back and only learn and only ask questions, I'll never get to ask the questions that actually have the nuance in it. I'll never be able to ask the questions to be able to see what's beyond that next bend because I'm sitting back here. And so that gave me, from doing a little bit, actually allowed for me to learn a lot. So when you learn a little bit, you do a little bit, eventually over time, you're going to learn a lot
Brilliant.
more. But here's the thing about it. It's learn a little bit, do a little bit, learn a little bit, do a little bit. Hey, and on the way to success, there's a whole lot of do on the way. Come
Yeah,
on, somebody.
exactly. That's exactly right. And let me say this for those of you that don't know, you maybe you're new to our podcast and you don't know Chris. Chris is our executive vice president of all of our tribe, of all of our coaches. But by doing a little bit, learning a little bit, doing a little bit, eventually learning a lot, you've also done a lot. You've
Right.
made literally millions of dollars as a
Yeah.
coach, speaker, trainer, writer now
Yeah, yeah.
because of learning a little bit and doing a little bit.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. And by the way, you're not done
No, not done.
because the future
Right.
is better than the past.
That's right. Our best days are ahead.
Best days are ahead.
Now, John says this best. He says, the thing about the future is that it comes one day at a time. How have you learned to live that truth?
Well, I think your masterpiece needs to be today, not tomorrow.
Mhm.
And too much of our time, I'm now focusing most of my day-to-day responsibilities on the CEO of Maxwell Leadership. Got a president in here. I'm
Yeah.
super excited about that.
Yeah.
But my responsibility is now on the future of the organization. And yet, I still have not lost this one thing. Today's my masterpiece. You don't succeed today, chances are your tomorrow is not going to be successful either, because that's what John says. He says, actually, tomorrow is a scorecard on how you handle today. If we can get in our mind that my way to get an A on my scorecard tomorrow is by performing an A today, it makes today our masterpiece. What is the best thing I can do with today? What are my best results that I can produce today? That is the best way to ensure a better tomorrow. Because what happens? Tomorrow's floor is today's best. Whatever you give tomorrow, whatever you contribute to tomorrow, sets the pace for tomorrow. So if you decline today, it's why John says you're only as good as your last book.
Right.
Well, you're only as good as your first book right now,
yeah.
Chris, because it's your last book. But you've got to make sure that you do your best here. And too many people keep stuff in the storage for the future. They want to save a little bit of the best for later. And I tell you, don't save the best for later. Put the best out there today. You'll find more best tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I love this conversation because, you know, my stomach is glowing because I'm like, man, just hoping the future is so bright for me. But there's people out there that are listening right now that they can't move forward to the future because they're stuck on the old mistakes that they made. You know, how do you coach someone that is stuck replaying old mistakes to help them move on?
Boy, John gives us, and I'm not going to get ahead in mine and your discussion, but John gives us a way to reconcile the past. And if you have not reconciled the past, if you're still in regrets of the past, you are endangering a better future. I just promise you. You go, oh, thank God it's the past. Thank God it's the past. I will never do that again. I regret that. You haven't completely appreciated the past. This was best illustrated. John and I were meeting with a top CEO that all of you would know, very well known, and asked the question, hey, what is your biggest regret in business? And he thought for a minute and he went, the same regret that I have in life. I don't have a regret. I don't have regrets in life. I don't have regrets in business. He'd been through some very difficult relationships, had a relationship journey that was not attractive to me because I knew it. It's very public. And he went, I don't have regrets. To have regrets would mean that I don't appreciate today. In other words, he made peace with the past. I'm not saying he's going to do the past over again. By the way, don't anybody do the past over again. If your best days are behind you, you're done. You're through. Don't do that to yourself. However, if you don't reconcile the past as a pathway to the future, you don't have a bright future either. You don't have a bright future if your past is better than you ever think the future is going to be. You don't have a bright future if you don't reconcile the past so that you can have a great future.
Right. Yeah. You know, John also talks about apprehension and anticipation.
Yeah.
You know, which one do you more naturally lean towards? And, you know, which one just comes more naturally to you?
So it's funny. So I love this question. And when John was teaching, I was going, wow, because for 15 years, I've been working alongside of John as his president and CEO. And I've got to be honest with you. I have been apprehensive
Mm.
president and CEO for John. He's so bright and hopeful for the future that I had to balance him as his execution guy,
Right.
as his get it done guy. I had to balance him with apprehension of what could go wrong if he did this right here, of what the other implications could be.
Right.
And so it was a balancing act. But I've got to be honest with you, it's anticipation. I'm naturally anticipation, but for the last 15 years, I've been working with the left hand,
Right.
being apprehensive. And so just recently, it has been liberating
Right.
to get back into the anticipation. This is what could happen. This is the, and
Right.
it is so much fun because I'm more natural there. But I want to appreciate those of you out there that are apprehensive. You're the execution side of a visionary.
Yeah.
You're the get it done person with all the vision that's being thrown out there. Thank you for your apprehension. I think it makes us better. But if you want to ask what naturally I am,
Yeah.
I'm naturally just like you. I'm anticipating, baby.
Right.
I'm anticipating. Let's
Right.
get it done. Let's get better days ahead.
Yeah, I love it, love it. Now, John also gives us 5 steps inside of here to make the future bigger
Mhm.
than your past. He says that we need to review, reflect, recover, rearrange, and recharge. And now, before I ask where we need to take this for the listeners, of these 5, which one do you do best and why?
I probably reflect best out of all of those. I do review. I talked about my year-end review
Hmm.
coming up over the next 30 days. Um, but the reflection, I really take a lot of time and reflect on what I discovered, what I learned, what I experienced, what the failure was, what's the lesson learned. I reflect. In fact, sometimes I overuse reflection
Mm.
because I'm too busy looking and not putting it into place.
Right.
Um, the other one that really speaks to me personally, that I'm not saying I do a great job of, but it's the recharge.
Hmm.
Um, I would challenge all of us, and this starts
Hmm.
with me. Really identify what chart recharges
Right.
you. I
Yeah.
asked you a question. I'm gonna get very personal with
Hmm.
you, with them, with you, in front of them. Okay, but I
Yeah.
asked you. I said, "How you doing on your workout? How you doing on
Right.
you love pickleball? You
Right.
did love
Yeah.
pickleball
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much. You're
Yeah.
good at it." And I was asking you. You've been through a busy writing season,
Yep.
a book promotion season, and I asked you right before this podcast. I said,
Yeah.
"Hey, how you doing on your workout? How you doing on
Right.
your how you doing on your pickleball
Yeah.
enjoyment?" And you told me, you said, "Man, I got to get back on that. I've got to get
Right.
back on
Yeah.
track." That's a recharge for you. I
Right.
can remember
Yeah.
many times you leaving the office when I was down in
Yep.
Florida and you ended up playing pickleball and there's this bright light
Right.
feeling
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
have. And so I want to challenge all of us, me too. I confess to you that I'm not
Right.
working out like I need to now. I've got a lot of demands at home when I'm home.
Right.
Um, and I would challenge all of us in this season of November, December, if you're listening live, and really identify what your recharging
Mm.
mechanism
Yeah.
is and put that into your plan for 2026. Put a recharge into your plan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to that, coming through that season of book writing and book selling and pushing that through, like I had to take that time, in order to put those efforts there. And I mean, I truly fell in love with the process of what I was doing with the book. And in fact, after the release date, and I didn't have to do that day, I was like, oh man, there was a hole, there was a gap. And I was like, well, I was telling my executive partner, well, don't fill this time yet because I don't quite know what to do with it yet. But I was missing and still missing this recharge area of my life, because I was just in that go. So, I played pickleball a couple times afterwards. And I was like, it just didn't have that same
Yeah.
feeling, that it didn't give me that charge. So I haven't played golf yet. So I'm gonna go out and play.
Good,
And
good,
see
good.
if that gives me that, so I can get back into it. But I know those 2 things I love so much, golf and pickleball,
Yeah.
just 2 of my favorite things to do. But just again, through seasons of life, they fall out, and we got to find those things.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think the way to anticipate as we kind of wrap today, um, I think the way to truly anticipate, and I think all of us need to improve our anticipation, even if you are a more apprehensive person. We frown on that word. I tried to beautify the word just a little bit just a while ago, but you do want to get anticipation for the future. Don't be done. Don't be done. Don't ever be done. John says that he's not going to retire. He's gonna go out on the field. And I want to challenge all of you to have that mindset. I did a video that is on our app that we talk about, and it's in the show notes. But the video was Your Purpose Can Multiply Through Others. And I just take a few minutes, this is back on July the 23rd, and talk about how purpose is the thing that will give you that anticipation. Really finding that purpose, that thing that inspires you, that will inspire you beyond your position, that purpose that will inspire you beyond production. Because if it's just about producing, when you produce, you're going to be done. But if it's about purpose, you're going to pursue beyond production. You're going to pursue beyond your plan. And that's what I want for you. That's what we want for you. That's why we do this podcast every single week. We want you to have that because your future grows when you align yourself with something bigger in the world. We call that significance. It's what happens through you to others that will give you the greater sense of fulfillment. Make this next year about taking what you learned personally this year to make next year better because it flows through you to help others. We have another episode that I want to reference right here. It's called How to Improve Every Day. Take the next couple of weeks, go back and revisit that episode if you've not heard it, or if you have heard it. But if you've not heard it, go back and listen to it because that's the difference maker. Hey, we have a great comment today that I want to give from one of our podcast listeners. True accountability must always be invited. It cannot be imposed. The person has to be the one to set up their own accountability system and then invite others to walk alongside them. This principle has been so crucial in helping me understand that accountability. That accountability really only makes us better when it's both desired and embraced. Jafia, thank you for that comment. Thanks for listening to the podcast, the episode Accountability Makes You Better. We'll drop that in the show notes as well. Hey, go make this week a great week. For those of you that's in the U.S., happy Thanksgiving. It's coming right up really soon. Be grateful this month and then go lead well because everyone deserves to be led well.